On your feet! Get them going!
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. Whatever the case may be, welcome to Cross Examinations Live. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. I'm not a pastor, priest, or rabbi. I always forget the rest of that. Why do I always forget the rest of the teacher? Well-educated man, just a guy on the internet talking about the Bible. And you've decided to join me. I don't know why, but here you are. Anyways, the right hand and the left hand. So you guys know my elbow, bad. Working on it, but wow, look at that! I'm turning this eraser in a totally different shape. Squirrel. And I noticed something in trying to do things with my left hand. I can mirror my left hand with my right hand, and I'm tempted to just do it right now. I was thinking about this in the shower because I noticed something kind of interesting that I can mirror, because like I'm washing my hair and my left hand is doing exactly what my right hand is doing, right? Yes, we're on the correct channel. Thank you for pointing that out, Bob. And welcome everybody, Missy, Amy, DJ, Tina, and Bob, and anyone who's not saying anything. And Kai, what's up, sinners? So I was going to do a little test wherein I take like I'm going to take a Sharpie in both hands. And I'm going to see if my dexterity, no, it's not quite there. It's not quite there. Okay, it needs some work. But those are questions like, can it do? In big things, the dexterity is identical, right? In big things, I'll get to my point. Okay, relax. In the big things, the dexterity is identical. Like if I'm doing hand movements and stuff, but very small things, it's like the dexterity is not. But I think I can train my left hand's dexterity by mirroring my right hand, right? Which led me to thinking that when I was trying to do things, all right, first of all, left and right hand, are they equal? They have absolute equality, right? If I lose my right hand, I'll just start doing things with my left hand. But do you know what I noticed when I was doing things that I usually do with my right hand that I do with my left hand, but doing it with my left hand, like shaving or tying my hair? I've been trying to do things with my left hand. What I noticed is that my right hand doesn't know what to do. And then I noticed that I've been completely consciously ignorant of what my left hand does when I'm using my right hand, my dominant hand. You guys can experiment with this on your own, but try to do things that require two hands, but do it with your indominant hand. Is that the right word? Non-dominant hand. You won't know what to do with your dominant hand. And I noticed it like when I'm washing my face, like I tried washing my face with my towel the other day with my left hand, and I'm like, how do I keep the towel on my hand when I'm washing? And so when I was washing with my right hand today, I noticed that I hold the towel behind my hand. I had never even consciously been aware that I'm holding the towel with my left hand while I'm washing my face. Isn't that weird? Your right hand doesn't know what your left hand is doing. Right? Isn't that bizarre? That's what came to mind. My right hand can't brush teeth with the grace of my left. It feels clumsy. I believe you just have to practice. I think anyone can use their non-dominant hand if they're. I know that, Tina. I know that's. I'm not a. I know. I can draw with my feet, Tina. Come on. I know it's just developing the motor skills to do it. But it made me think about. You know what the left hand, the non-dominant. Sorry for those lefties out there. The non-dominant hand is for the dominant hand. To help me. You could not even be aware of what your spouse, your wife, is doing to help you in life until you have to do that stuff yourself. Right? It's a helper. It's totally equal. It's functionally identical. But you can't do the things that you're doing with your dominant hand without your dominant hand, even if you're unaware of how it's helping. Right? Like it holds the paper while I draw. It pulls my skin while I shave. It does all this stuff, and you're completely oblivious to it when you try to do everything when you try to take the non-dominant hand and do everything with it. Your dominant hand is clueless what you're supposed to be doing. I just realized I too can draw just as well with my right hand, left hand, or feet. They all suck equally. Ha ha ha. Hey, can you turn the AC on for me? Please, thank you. Your right hand doesn't know what your left hand is doing. Didn't there used to be a joke about that? It's not a joke. It's in the Bible. Do not let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. It's right and left, right? It's not left and right. Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. I think it's don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing. Isn't that right? But I just found that terribly, terribly interesting. It's non-voluntary. It's like your left hand just knows what to do. Your left hand your non-dominant hand just knows what to do. Your wife just knows what to do. It's kind of tied together and correlated with like greater messages in the Bible and things that I don't know, somehow or another you just become aware of at some point in life. I'm drinking coffee tea today. So I ran out of coffee again, which I filled up to about this much, and I filled the rest up with my iced tea concoction that I make. I don't understand how coffee has such a strong taste, right? But you pour tea in it, and the coffee taste almost completely disappears. Even if it's a fraction of the total cup. I know, total squirrel, right? Moving right in a different direction. It almost just tastes like milk tea. Actually, that's what it tastes. It tastes like milk tea. So the coffee had creamer in it. Now it just tastes like tea with creamer. Weird. Delicious, though. What's up, Dark Admiral? All right, let's go ahead and get to the Bible early so that when these people, did you guys see Bitcoin is up to 103,000? I wish I had all the Bitcoin I ever had. A dirty chai cappuccino is so good. I may have to try that. Dirty chai, that's chai tea with coffee in it, right? With espresso, shot of espresso. Bible before Bitcoin. I know, it's just I was going through not my charts, it was my chart. I was going through my anyways, it was on my screen. All right, next steps. Yeah, oh gosh, I thought I already did this. James 4. James 4, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be getting to James 4 today. Oh, did I show you show you guys? So I save my bacon fat because it's terribly nutritious. And the other day I poured it a little too quickly. Without it lies Islam dies. What's up? Talking about Islam dying. Bacon fat. And I poured it a little too quickly into my mason jar. And lo and behold, what happened? It just split right where the hot seam was. And so I grinded it down and I'm like, hey, this would be good for my pens. Thank you, hot bacon. Hot bacon fat. Thank you, Micah. I appreciate you. He hasn't talked to me. We all have teenager ears. Anyways, so that was funny because now I have because I'm trying to keep all my pens together for my whatnot stuff. Get in there. Except I lost the lid to one of my pens, the cap. Oh, frustrating. Want to see what I did though? I did. I finished this yesterday. I'm getting better with these markers. I'm telling you. I am learning things with the markers and getting better at them. So I got this one done. I got this one done. Sorry, I'm not going to turn off my thing, but this is green right here. That's why it's doing the thing. So these are 2 commissions I got, and then I did ooh. This could be the best stinking thing I have done yet. Look at this. Holy cow. And again, the green, the yellows. But daggone, man. I'm getting good with these markers. Practice, guys. Practice. If you want to follow me over on Whatnot, actually, let me just grab the link here. Let me grab the link for my Whatnot. How do I do this? Get a referral follower. I want you guys to use my referral link if you join me over on Whatnot. There it is. All right. Copy. Paste. Bam. There's a Whatnot link. Join me over there. Where's the shut up and take my money fry gif when I need it? That's already sold. That was a commission. I'm taking commissions, and so I do my commissions on Whatnot while I'm streaming. While I'm doing my commissions, I'm doing my commissions on Whatnot. And yeah, that's I've been spending most of my nights there. It's like a job. And you know what it is? When I'm between long-term projects, this is going to be a perfect way to fill my schedule anytime I'm not doing a long-term project like a graphic novel or whatever, or anything else that pays better than actually it pays Whatnot pay, because I'm fast. Right. I'm not as slow. Oh, I also did this one yesterday, but Galactus card. I see it out of the back. That was fun too. I just did this as a little stopgap in between. I was waiting. Someone bought a commission and then disappeared from the chat without me what he wanted. So I'm like, all right, I finished the other one. I'm gonna sit here and do a trading card while I wait for dude to come back and tell me what he wants. And he comes back and he's like, apparently I bought a cover. I'm like, are you serious? You don't know if you bought a cover? He's like, yeah, I don't know how that happened. That's the one that wanted the Harley Carnage mix and mash, mish mash. And then also, freaking genius. I know this has nothing to do with the Bible, but you guys are here for me. I bought acrylic gesso and then I tested it, and look how awesome the colors. I mean, it's not perfect. It is like one little tone brighter, than not. I mean, it depends on the color too, but man, it works so good. I'm I'm leveling up. I'm leveling up my my whatnot game. So, anyways, let's get to James, shall we? Before all the atheists come in here and try to derail my stream again. Which is what why do they show up at like 59 minutes into the except for Kai. Thank you for showing up on time to berate me. And Corpse Grinder. We got a regular atheist, and then like the random atheists like show up like right before I'm about to end the stream. I'm like, come on, show up earlier. So that's why I'm gonna try to do the Bible stuff earlier so I can have more fun later. It seems intentional, right? You trying to keep me from doing my work? All right. Oh gosh, I was listening to Hosea today. I'm like, man, we got to do a study on Hosea. It is so, man, talk about burying the preterist position. How can you read Hosea and come out a preterist on the other end? I have no idea. But we haven't heard from Buddy in a while. Thought I'd throw some cheese out there for him. All right, present, share screen. Put me down here so I'm not in the way. James 4, deepest meaning translation. From where come wars and conflicts among you? Do they not spring from your desires, those cravings waging battle in your members, tearing at the soul's fragile peace? You covet and have not. You murder and envy, yet grasp nothing. You clash and war, gaining no prize. For you ask not, your hearts adrift from God's open hand. You ask and receive not, because you ask amiss. Your pleas twisted by selfish lusts, squandered on pleasures that fade like mist. Yeah, your prayers shouldn't be, dear Lord, gimme, gimme, gimme. All right, King Bob, we'll see you soon. Adulterous souls, know you not that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever chooses the world's embrace stands as God's foe, his heart divided from the eternal. Or do you think Scripture speaks in vain? The Spirit he placed within us yearns with holy jealousy, his longing a fire that guards our love for him alone. Yet he gives greater grace. Yet he gives greater grace. His favor flows abundant, as Scripture declares. God opposes the proud, but pours grace on the humble. His mercy a river for the lowly heart. Submit then to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee. His shadow scattered by the light of your surrender. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-souled, and let your devotion shine unblemished. This is, I think, what happens to a lot of people who, quote unquote, lose their faith, is that they don't truly believe that God's will is greater than their will. Right? And then when their faith is tested, it's not God that's being tested. It's their faith is being tested. And they won't sacrifice Isaac. Right? That was the test for Isaac. Would you sacrifice your son for me? Do you put your son above me? Do you put your child above God? Well, then you're double-minded. God comes first. I mean, Jesus goes so far, and yes, he's being hyperbolic, but Jesus goes so far as to say, if you don't hate your mother and father, you don't love me. And that is obviously a hyperbolic comparison. Like, you have to love me first and love me above everything else. And if you don't, then you are double-minded. You are going through the motions. How's he say it? Double-souled, it says in here, right? Your faith should be unblemished. Let your devotion shine unblemished. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people who reject God and become atheists. That's a gross ask. That's your opinion. But that's what God...
Oh, look at the eagle.
The thing you love most, the thing you put most of your energy, most of your attention on in your life is your God. And if it's not God, it's an idol. You understand? If it's not God, it's an idol. Can your wife become your idol? Yes. Can your job become an idol? Yes. Anything you put in front of God in your life becomes an idol. There's Lou. Why would any good person want someone to put them over themselves and their own children? Because it's not a good person. It's God. It's God. He's not a good person. He is the truth, the life, the giver of life, the creator of reality. I think that's a little bit more than a good person. God is three persons, but he's God. He's not just like us, Lou. If you're trying to put God into a human box. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. That was what was it the other day? Someone said, "Why is God hiding from us?" And I said, God's not hiding from us. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-souled. And let your devotion shine unblemished. Lament, mourn, weep. Let your laughter turn to sorrow, your joy to gloom, for the weight of sin demands a contrite soul. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you, lifting you high, your lowliness a throne for his glory. Speak not evil one of one another, brothers. To slander a brother or judge his heart is to slander the law itself, setting yourself above its holy frame. One alone is lawgiver and judge, he who can save or destroy. Who are you to judge your neighbor, your voice a whisper against his sovereign will? Come now, you who say, today or tomorrow we will journey to this city, trade and gain. Your plans a boast woven from the breath of your own will. Yet you know not what tomorrow holds. What is your life? A vapor, fleeting, apparently appearing briefly, then vanishing into the air's embrace. Instead, you should say this: if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that. Your steps surrendered to his guiding hand. But now you boast in your arrogance. Such vaunting is evil, a pride that blinds the heart to God's design. To know the good you ought to do, yet do it not, is sin, a failure to walk the path his grace has carved before you. It's very interesting. Like, our friend Lou here always brings up, what about babies with cancer? The thing is, you realize when this was written, right? Infant mortality was freaking way higher back then. And that was when Christianity flourished. And I think it may have something to do with we're so stinking spoiled in the modern Western world that infant mortality is a rarity, right? And so it's like, because this rare thing happens to some people occasionally now, as opposed to it being very fairly common. I mean, infant mortality and mothers dying in childbirth is what brought the stinking average age average lifespan down to where people think that people 2,000 years ago only lived till they were in their 30s. It's like, no, it's just so many infants and mothers died young that it skewed the demographics of the age of, you know what I mean? Because I forgot the words. Knew it was God. Tell me how to tell. All right, I'm clearly behind in the chat. Kai says, you mean to tell me, Corpse Grinder, you mean to tell me that if God told you to find an orphanage, take out every kid in there, grind them into a paste, and make a mural of baby paste for your wall, you wouldn't do it? God wouldn't say that. God made this test one time, and it was obviously not a test he was going to let Abraham go through with. The only reason Abraham would have done it is because child sacrifice back then was so freaking commonplace. It probably wasn't like, oh gosh, now my God is telling me to do this thing that all these other gods are making their people do. So it wouldn't have been like it. See, you guys are so freaking spoiled by 2,000 years of Christianity. You don't understand what the freaking world was like. And then you hide behind, oh, it's just a clump of cells, as you sit there and watch billions of babies get murdered in the womb. So I don't know where you're standing on your freaking high horse, blaming God for testing Abraham. And then, oh no, but her body, her choice. Yeah. 1 million babies a year in this country alone. 50 million babies since Roe versus Wade. But, oh gosh, God tested Abraham with something he didn't let him follow through on. He wasn't going to let Abraham kill Isaac. It was a test. You ever test your kids, but you know you're not going to let them do something stupid? You ever do that? Why is it so hard to wrap your head around this? Why is this difficult? Why is this a sticking point for anyone with freaking 2 brain cells? So is God a person? In the technical sense of personhood, there's 3 persons in the Godhood. That doesn't make him a normal human being person. Personhood is an identifier of an individual personality. Unless he wants you to go somewhere else, then you get swallowed up. I'm missing so much in this conversation. Don't you have a personal okay, Lou, I already answered the question. You're kind of harping at this point. Walk in the Spirit. Welcome, Walk in the Spirit. Good corpse, because if you hear a voice, it'll probably be Satan's, not gonna lie. Personal, not person. Well, I don't know if it actually says in the Bible. Does the Bible actually use the word person? I know that's a theological distinction. Let me see. Actually, let me just ask Grok. Grok is good at this stuff. Does the Bible ever actually describe God as a person? The Bible does not explicitly describe God as a person in the modern sense of an individual human being. However, it used anthropomorphic language and imagery to convey God's nature, attributes, and interactions with humanity. So, biblically, no, it's a theological position, but it's not a biblical truth. There. Answered. Lifespan, Mike. Thank you, Larry. I know. I used it like 10 seconds before, and then it just escaped my brain. It's like, oh, you're only going to need that word one time. I'm out of here. God wouldn't say that. How do you know? Because God is not, God cannot contradict himself. And then if he did tell someone to do that, he wouldn't let him go through with it, just like Abraham, because he can't contradict himself. God is logically consistent. Da, da, da. I wouldn't be able to sacrifice my cat. I cannot imagine sacrificing my child. Well, women do it a million times a year in this country alone, more in the rest of the world, to the altar of it's my body, it's my choice. I want to have sex with whoever I want and not have to deal with the consequences of bringing a life into the world. I'm just going to murder my child, sacrificed to the God of myself. That's what's happening in the world. Way more than it did in the arms of Moloch or, Ashtaroth or Baal. Oh my gosh. The God of self has become ye shall become like gods. That was the first lie from Satan, right? Ye shall become like gods. Great. Now you think you're your own God. All you guys with your own, my subjective morality is the most important morality in the world because I'm subjective and it's subjective and I'm secular humanist and I believe all this stuff. Who cannot object to anything objectively. Funny way to put it. You're going to complain that Abraham got tested by God. It's so funny. It is really so funny. It is so petty compared to everything else. The high and mighty atheist of the 21st century, that bastions of goodness and righteousness. You mean moral relativists who can't even say that throwing Jews in the gas chamber was objectively wrong? Yeah, let them tell you what's right and wrong in life. Good measuring yard you got there, guys. All-knowing being needed tests? No. Abraham needed the test. Abraham was being tested. God did tell men to kill babies, and God did have his own human son tortured. This is simple biblical facts. That's true. We're talking about Abraham. God did tell men to wipe out entire populations. And, there's various theories and reasons for that. But when God tells someone to do a thing and it's actually God telling them to do a thing, it's good. It's good in the definitive sense that what God says is good. The word good that you're using, that you use every day, the word good derives from the word God. It's literally good is the will of God. And you, as a secular humanist, have no objective meaning in the word good. So you can't say what is good and what is bad. It's just ironic. The hypothetical I was giving you is that you know it's God. Would you obey the command to obliterate the children? In the modern world, no. Like I said, we're in a different I didn't say it today. I said it in a different day. We're in a different dispensation. God is not. The plan for Israel was a very specific plan to grant them a specific plot of land. In order that everything he did with Israel was in order to bring about the Messiah that would save the world from its sins. That was the whole purpose. That was why they needed the land. That was why everything happened. I mean, honestly, I think a part of it was getting rid of the giants and the crossbreeding and the Nephilim and stuff like that. But you guys already think I'm crazy enough, so that's where I stand on that stuff. Because all the people that God is being told, or not God, but Joshua is being told to wipe out these entire peoples, men, women, children, cattle, all that stuff. There's giants. They're the son of the Anakim. They're crossbreeds with demons. So cleaning up the genetic line, Sometimes it happens. Hey, God wiped out the entire planet. I don't want. Remember the flood? I mean, not that you were there, but yeah. If you want to, just go right back to that one. How can you believe in a God that would wipe out everyone on Earth except for 8 people? Go balls out. Complain about that. Why you complain that they killed what was probably essentially a couple dozen children max in these little villages that are, well, maybe more than that. I don't know. I don't actually know, because like in Jesus's day, like Nazareth was his town, right? And archaeologically, they think Nazareth had like 400 people, maybe. So like these other little cities, I don't know how many children would have been in. Actually, there's probably information, but I'm not going to look it up right now. I'm just saying, scale-wise, wiping out the entire planet, much bigger deal. Yes, God had his own very human son tortured. You know this. I am only saying what is purely biblical. No. For you, because there's a penalty that had to be paid for your sin, and you don't want to pay it yourself. All right? So the God of the universe had to pay it for us. There's such a thing as mercy, but there's also such a thing as justice. And our grace is paid for by that sacrifice. And you know all this stuff. So you're just making it seem so trite. Oh, God had his son tortured. I wouldn't follow an evil God's orders, no matter if y'all define him as good. Well, you can't even define good and evil, so take that. I certainly did not say God was a human being. I said he is a person. And I clarified in the Bible that's not explicit, but it is a very common Christian doctrine. So I don't know why you're getting hung up on it. That part of a human being, last time I read the Bible, Jesus rose again. Right. Holy ketchup. Does that mean that logic stands above God in a sense? I think I wouldn't say above. I think logic is part of the nature of God, right? It's like being perfectly logical is an attribute of a perfect God. You can't do the illogical if you are perfect, because it breaks that perfection. No? Don't you think? God wouldn't command that today because the Messiah has already come and claimed the authority. Right. That's another way of saying it. Thank you, Islam Dies. God is the source of life. Yeah, that's a simpler way of putting it. I know, Mike, and it is so sad. These women today shaking my head. Oh, wow, I must be really behind. Henry's here. What's up? God is P is smaller than, greater than P. God equals the Father. God equals the Son. God equals the Holy Spirit. While God also does not equal the Father. God does not equal the Son. And God does not equal the Holy Spirit. Oh, you're trying to use the A cannot be A and not A. Again, this is the simplest way to wrap your head around this is a matter of dimensional perspective. A two-dimensional person. Let's see if I can do this. A two-dimensional person. One dimension. A two-dimensional person sees a circle. A two-dimensional person sees a triangle. A two-dimensional person says, there is no way, logically, that a circle can be a triangle. One has no edges, one has no points, one has no sides, and one has 3 points, 3 sides, and 3 edges. Or maybe, wait, does a circle have 1 edge? Okay, the circle has 1 edge. The circle is one. Hero Israel, the Lord our circle. The circle is one. But there's the trinity of sides on the triangle. The two-dimensional person cannot comprehend that if you add a third dimension, you've created a cone. Right? You're arguing about God from the limited dimensional understanding of time-space. God exists in eternity, and he is beyond your absolute comprehension. So crying about it, not that you're crying about it. Sorry, I'm a little flippy today. Book Malou, he has won 3 parts. I just made that up. Yeah, I mean, isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Paralogism, a piece of illogical or fallacious reasoning, especially one which appears superficially logical or which a reasoner believes to be logical. Kai says, Mike, isn't it good? Is it good to stone a woman on her wedding night if she doesn't bleed?
It gives you a shield where you're protected from any one bullet.
Do you know what the law is?
It also mutes you.
Do you know what the law is for? Do you know why the Jews had the law? It is to maintain a perfect, how do I say it? The law is perfect. The law is to make the people perfect, right? Just like we have laws here. Laws are enforced by the government. If you are caught, you are brought before the judge, who judges whether you are guilty before the law. And then they instill the punishment, whatever that punishment is. In the perfection of the law, the people have to abide by perfection, right? That's why the law proves that we cannot live under the law and be saved by the law, because none of us can live perfectly except for Jesus. So to be perfect, you must be a virgin when you get married. Unless you get raped, and then, that's disqualified. They don't punish the victim. So that is the purpose of the law. And so, yes, the law is perfect and the law is good. It's all in Abraham's covenant with God. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you understand, again, the reason for the law, the reason for the whole Jewish saga. Oh, no, Mike is a dispensationalist. Yes. How are you not? The word good originates from Proto-Germanic word godas, meaning fitting or suitable. Are you sure about that? Old English. The word good derives from the Old English God, which meant good, virtuous, desirable, favorable, or useful, was used in a broad sense to describe quality, moral, virtue, or benefit, which also means God. Proto-Germanic Old English God comes from Proto-Germanic godas or gobaz, meaning good or fitting. This root is shared across Germanic languages such as Old High German, gut, Old Norse Goder, and Gothic Goths. Proto-Germanic term likely carried connotations of being pleasable, suitable, or excellent. Here. Indo-European. Dadgummit. There's a whole bunch of them. All right, I'll just jump to semantic evolution. The meaning of good has remained relatively stable, focusing on quality, morality, or utility. Its versatility allowed to be applied to ethical goodness, In religious contexts, such as the Bible, good often carries moral, divine connotations influenced by translations of the Hebrew tov, good, pleasant, or morally right. Greek agathos. Hey, Agatha Christie. Good or beneficial. So I didn't see fitting or suitable in there. I don't know where you got yours, but it's, let's say we could both be right, but it does derive from the word God, which is the word God. I'm with you on the Nephilim. All right. God does genocide, but with love. You're twisted, bro. No, God does genocide with righteousness. The greater good sometimes requires for bad things to happen. Right? The greater good was that all mankind was saved. The bad thing that happened, God had to be, as Lou says, tortured to death. It was a bad thing. It was a very, very bad thing. Right? Was it done out of love? Yeah. The angels could have taken him down. The angels could have protected him at any moment. It wasn't nails that held Jesus to the cross. It was love that held him there. Yeah, Nazareth was like 200 to 400 people, so as small as 300, which is as small as my church was when I joined it. Jews to this day look forward to the coming of the Messiah. Maybe try actually reading the Bible, which is funny. That's why I was reading, I was going through Hosea this morning, and I was like, everything in here is talking about freaking Jesus. Everything in here is talking about Jesus. Everything. It's like the whole stinking book is talking about Jesus. How do Jews not get this? Certainly it is a difficult matter to restrain one's curiosity so much as not to desire a more particular knowledge of a people persecuted by the world with so much rage and malice. What? Wouldn't not being able to illogical things make you less perfect? It's like saying the nature of God is good, so God cannot evil, right? The nature of God is logical, so God cannot illogic. You understand? It's like his nature. His nature is truth, which means logic. You cannot escape. Everything true is logical. It's the nature of him. He is the way, the truth, and the life. He is good. His very nature is that which is good. Us not understanding how good. What is God can even redeem the evil that we do. You know what I mean? I have read a few times, and so do Jews. There's no Trinity in the Old Testament. In fact, it says over and over that God is one in essence. Christianity has different beliefs than Judaism. No, Christianity believes that God is one in essence. It's just that when God says, even in Hosea, as I just read today, that he will, his son, he's talking about his son. He talks about the Son of God in Hosea. He talks about it in when he's talking about the Messiah in Isaiah. It talks about the Messiah will be God, but as a person. Obviously, it's like, let us make man in our image. This whole majestic we thing is hogwash. Adonai is a plural. There's I didn't circle, triangle, figure it out. Circles have infinite points. No, they don't. Not that it matters. It's a cone. Right. Eternity is a cone. So when I eat ice cream, I destroy the universe. I think I'm lactose intolerant. Jeff says there's a Holy Spirit in the Old Testament. Correct. There's a God in the Old Testament. Correct. And there's a Messiah in the Old Testament. A Messiah who is described as God. Mighty God. Isaiah, I think that's 7:14, describes the Messiah as the mighty God. So the Messiah, who will come as a man, or according to Judaism, right, will come as a man, is the mighty God. So yes, the Trinity, the word Trinity is not in the Bible, just like the word person isn't used to describe God in the Bible, but it's a doctrine that we use words to explain. Later, Potts. Hope your butt feels better. I asked if it's good. That was a yes or no. The law is good. Yes. The law from the all-knowing God didn't realize that 40% of virgins don't bleed. Oops, sounds like a man talking for God and being wrong. That's a very modern context. It is a very modern context. I think that young girls are far more active in like boys' sports and stuff like that. Things that might break a hymen outside of actual penetration. But I don't think 3,000 years ago that was the case. Girls were girls then and did girl things. Girls do boy things now because our culture is screwed up. So no, I don't think 40% of virgins didn't bleed back then. That's not nonsense.
Thanks for not.
Walk in the spirit. Mitch is new. What's up, Mitch Schaefer? Welcome. Except we now know that around half of females don't. I just actually answered that. But welcome to the channel. God change his mind. Lamau. The spirit is God immutable. In his essence, that's kind of the weird thing, though. God is outside of time. So, like, the idea of his changing his mind, it's like, I can't even comprehend it because he's not in time. He knows what's going to happen. So can he tell somebody to do a thing and then tell him not to do it because he's doing a test or whatever? And in that sense, can you say he's changing his mind within time? Abraham's a great example. God knew Abraham wasn't going to kill Isaac, right? But he said to Abraham at the moment, do this thing. This is how I'm testing you. And he said, don't do it. Did God change his mind, or was he just testing Abraham? From our linear perspective, it looks like he's changing his mind, but God knows outside of time. God's outside of time. So can he even change his mind? I don't know. That's some deep theological thing. Who knows? Proto-Germanic is older than English. Proto-Germanic is a reconstructed language believed to have been spoken around 500 BCE, while Old English is around. All right. It still comes from God. Even if God had a different meaning in Proto-Germanic, you can't get away from that.
We should go to Elliot's swing.
It annoys me how people have no idea what they're talking about, but are so smug about it. Dunning to the Kriegs.
Just walk.
What's that drink you're sipping on? This is cough tea. I ran out of my coffee, filled it up about this much, then I filled the rest up with tea, and it totally obliterated the coffee taste. Now it just tastes like milk tea. And I'm out of it. All right. Cross-examinations. Do you believe that angel spirits, beings, came down to earth and had sex with women? I do. As an atheist, I agree that this is not a very helpful way of communicating. Sorry, accidentally hit enter. Because his nature is truth, logic has to be maintained. I suppose that makes sense. There you go. Feels like you're not it feels like you're not omnipotent if you're restricted by logic, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Not together though.
It doesn't make sense to me because, like I said, you can't be truth and be illogical, because truth is one of the natures of, or essence of truth, is that it is logical. Truth cannot be illogical because it is truth. So if you are truth, how can you then be illogical at the same time? That's, A cannot be A and not A at the same time. The Trinity is all over the Old Testament, correct. If I say the devil is by nature good, I would say that what devil says is always good because I already declared him as good. Would you say that by nature the devil is good, Lou? It's kind of silly. A circle has an infinite number of points. These points are all equidistant from the center of the circle.
What is this freaking? Look at this crosshair.
Moot. When the author of Genesis wrote, "Let us," he was referring to the divine council. Well, that's your assumption. That's some people's theological position, but it's not generally held in the Christian circles that I know. He's talking to the Trinity,
I think.
The Godhead, the triad of the Godhead, the triunity.
Hey, could I get a revive?
Omnipotence being bound by modern context is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Sorry. Does existence require time? If something exists for 0 seconds, does it exist? Not in our space-time continuum. Our space-time continuum necessitates that existence requires time. However, if you are something outside of the space-time continuum that created the space-time continuum, you are far beyond the comprehension of the beings existing within that space-time continuum, or you're not even capable of understanding, we are not even capable of understanding what the term existence would even mean outside of space-time, because we're bound by its parameters. The laws of space-time exist as a creation of an outside force. Is there anywhere that there is no information? No. So God is omnipresent, all-knowing. It's not hard. Is there anywhere that there's no information? It's an interesting way to put it. Holy Ketchup, I've been wondering, how do you defend your belief in Noah's flood when the great majority of geologists not only find no evidence, but find that it couldn't have happened? Is it just faith? No. Are you not aware, Holy Ketchup? The Noah's flood, the global flood, is the single most accounted for event on the planet in human history. Well, in ancient history. I mean, everybody sees stuff on TV now. There are some 300 accounts from disparate, that is disconnected, no relation people groups from everywhere on the globe of Noah's flood. They all have slightly different versions of it, or some of them have majorly different versions of it. But they all have some very consistent things. 8 people, angry God, destroyed the world, saved the animals on a giant boat, right? This continuous story is told from the Aborigines to freaking China to Gilgamesh to like every 300 historical legendary account. I mean, okay, they're legendary because they've fallen into the scope of legend where, some of the stuff just becomes, their own versions of the tale. But it is the most It is the most accounted event in the history of humankind. If you account, here's the thing. How do you know an event was history, right? In normal historical circles, how would you guarantee that something actually happened? If just one person said a thing happened, it's it might have happened, it might not have happened, right? But if you get a corroborating account, say from that person's enemy, that's how we know a lot of the stuff in the Crusades that happened, because you'll have the Christian account from like Acre or Jerusalem or something, and then you'll soldiers writing home, this is what happened, blah 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 blah, and they'll send a letter home, and then you'll get accounts of that happening from the Muslim side, the Ottoman side, or whatever. Some sultan or whatever has his history told, and then you compare the two, and you see what the crossover is, and you know that the crossover is truth. You only need 2 witnesses to know a thing happened for certain in historical truth. You've got 300 witnesses from around the entire globe telling you Noah's flood happened. I don't care what scientists think happened or claim is impossible. We've got the best, most accounted for historical event in the history of mankind. And people just don't want to believe it. That's fine. Don't believe it. But you literally cannot believe anything ever in history based on that that tell of how something is historical if you ignore Noah's flood. So you can either be consistent and logical, or you can just throw out everything you think you believe so that you can ignore the flood. All right. Sorry. I'm over an hour. Gotta get going. Thank you, everybody. If you want to continue the conversation, please slide on over into the Discord. But I have things to do today. So God bless us, everybody. We'll see you on probably Tuesday. Mondays are so hard for me now. But maybe I'll give it a try. All right. God bless you guys. We'll see you later.